Yes, y'all. We are here. It's Wednesday night. It's Spittin with Spitter. Before I announce my guest, I want to get some dudes out of the way. Tune in to 2M1L Media for all your podcast shows. You catch Spittin with Spitter there. You catch Around the Turnbuckle there. You catch Home Team Sports there. Go to the YouTube channel 2M1L Media. Click like, subscribe, share that shit. For all your vaping essentials, go to Lehigh Vape at 822 Nazareth Pike. Tell them TJ sent you. They'll take care of you. For all your CBD needs, man, go to Mom and Pop CBD Shop, 312 Town Center Boulevard over there in Forks Township. Again, tell them Large Mart sent you. They'll take care of you. And now for my guest, somebody that I grew up with, that I've struggled with, and if I'm being honest, who I've gotten high with, Dennis Hoffman, my brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on the show, brother.
You got a mic on that? You could turn it up a little bit?
Hold on a second. Let me check.
All of a sudden, you're quiet.
Is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show, brother.
Let's get started. We're gonna talk about addiction, the struggle, getting finding some recovery and finding a new way to live, right?
Most definitely, yeah.
Let's start in the beginning with you and your story. You were born in the great.
Wait, you cut out a little bit, man.
Can you hear me?
You're cutting out just a little bit.
Let me find out you got that Boost Mobile Cricket. Oh, you heard that though.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell everybody that's watching where you grew up and tore up?
Yeah, I mean, born and raised in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Yeah, lived there for about 32 years until I made my way down here to Atlanta, Georgia in 2012.
And what was at that time? What was Phillipsburg like for you?
So, I mean, growing up in Phillipsburg, man, looking back now, it's tradition. Everything was tradition. Since I've been down here in Atlanta, Georgia, I can't find that tradition anywhere. It's hard to find the same tradition that Phillipsburg has towards, football, Friday Night Lights, the people, the pride in the town where you came from, just that grit, Phillipsburg grit that we had growing up that we learned. It's hard to find down here. There's so many, it's like a melting pot down here. There's so many different people from different areas down here that it's hard to find that tradition. But most of all, that's what I remember about Phillipsburg, man, the tradition.
We got the beautiful stuff of Phillipsburg out of the way. And by no means, I'm not doing this to slander Phillipsburg, because I believe you take you with you wherever you go. And if you're an addict, you're going to find drugs, whether it be home, whether it be away, whether it be on vacation, you're going to find drugs.
Yeah, no matter where you go, it's part of the deal. I go where I go. If I leave Phillipsburg and come to Atlanta, I came with that. I mean, I didn't stay back there. So whatever I learned and dealt with was brought down here with me,
Right.
So
how old were you when you started experimenting with drugs?
12.
12.
I remember being over at my uncle's house with my cousin, and he smoked weed all the time. And I never forget this day that, we kept looking at him when he was smoking weed finally, and he was like, why you guys fucking staring at me? All right, y'all are going to come over and take a hit of this shit. And I'll never forget that. The first time I smoked weed, the experience was crazy. I got dizzy, didn't feel good, thought I was going to get sick. I think I ended up getting sick, but then I remember eating a whole, the baking trays that we used to put French fries in the oven to make them. I remember eating a whole tray on the pan of fries. So that was my first experience of smoking weed when I was like 12, man. Good old uncle.
Yeah. And how did, share, I want you to share with the people that are watching your story on how that progressed.
Well, I mean, really, it started there. And I mean, a lot of people that are watching this that are back home knew that not only was it the drug problem, it was also the criminal activity problem. I think the first time I was locked up in the back of a cop car when I was 9 for breaking into the neighbor's shed. And my mom thought it was good that she'd teach me a lesson. And, you know, looking back on that now, the only lesson that was learned is I had that experience early. So
Right.
eventually you got comfortable, if that makes any sense.
No, it really does.
I mean, from there on, after the weed deal and, you know, running around stealing stuff, because you know how it is when you grow up, you don't have money. And back in the 90s, the Jordans started coming out, you know, the hip hop music, the cool clothes, the Nikes. I couldn't get any of that stuff because my parents didn't make that much money. So, you know, we were always hustling around to steal stuff to get what we needed to do. And drugs came in play because back then, if you had access to drugs, alcohol, could get it, you were the cool person. Everybody wanted to hang out with you. What are you doing? You know, I remember growing up at a certain age, my mom used to get us alcohol all the time. You know, today you can't do that. But I mean, back then she would do it. And why not go hang out with Dennis? Because he'd get the shit. And for me, it was acceptance. Everybody wanted to be around me, and it was a popularity contest back then. You know,
I remember vividly that feeling of being, and I don't think I was ever the cool kid, but feeling like I was the cool kid, right? Doing some shit outside of myself that I didn't need to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I never needed to sell drugs. You know, and I think that addiction of that lifestyle, of that feeling, was just as bad as me being addicted to the drug.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, back then too, it was all about image.
Mm-hmm.
What we saw on TV, we wanted. And I know for me early, I took to the hip hop industry. Like I love the music, and I still listen to it to this day. I never strayed away from it, regardless of what it is, the beats, the songs. Like I've always liked that. And I remember growing up, like it wasn't okay to dress like that hip hop when you were
It
white.
sure fucking wasn't. Shout out to y'all haters out there. Y'all love us now.
And this is the funny story. They still make fun of me down here. So I found an old picture of the early 90s in the middle of the projects in the cul-de-sac that I used to live in. And there's a picture of me with my snapback hat on, cut to the side, with my pants down, with the polo tucked in, with a pick hanging out of the side. And I'm showing these dudes down here that I know, dude, and they're tearing my ass up. But that was the thing back then. I took to that lifestyle, and I wanted to be a true gangster, and I really was, man. You know, that badass attitude, running around, always trying to be cool. I mean, that's how I got accepted, man, through violence and drugs. I mean, that's what I thought was the way to get accepted back then.
Yeah,
kids
but
man.
a bunch of us did.
Yeah.
So how did, and listen, I'm gonna be asking some tougher questions, and only because like we've known each other for so long, and I'm gonna give you a portion to ask me whatever you want to ask me. You know, how did that progress from 12 years to say like now you're 15, 16 years old? How did that progress?
What do you mean, the drug addiction?
The addiction, the violence, the criminal mischief, if you would.
I mean, it progressed worse. It just, you know, the first time I got locked up, it was hard, man. It was scary and stuff like that. You go to Warren Acres, juvenile detention, you know, and here's the kicker. When I did that, and I did my first 30 days off of stealing Reebok pumps. I'll never forget that because the first time I went away for that stuff. I remember getting out when my mom moved to the projects, when my mom and dad separated. I remember getting out that first time, and the acceptance I got from everybody when I got out, because they thought it was cool that I just got out of jail. Like, oh, look at Dennis. He just got out of jail, man. Cool, man. What are you doing tonight? And stuff like that. So that feeling inside, I was feeling that void of acceptance. And it was like a rush and a high. Like, okay, this is my way to get respect on the streets. So from that point forward, it was one of those things of, I got messed with a lot when I was younger, you know, got fucked with bad. I used to get thrown down in the embankment, made fun of for my shoes. As soon as I discovered that violence was a key to control somebody, because a motherfucker doesn't like when you pick something up and come after it with it. It puts fear in their eyes, and they're not trying to deal with that situation. And once you get that feeling that you have control of the situation and that nobody will do that to you again, that kind of sticks. So that was one of those things that I took to, was violence for acceptance and to control people's feelings, or don't talk shit to me or I'm going to hit you with a baseball bat, period. And that's how it went for me, and it progressed and got worse. I remember getting locked up when I was 16 for possession of a gun and pistol whipping somebody with it. You know, like this was the shit that was going on when I was 16 when I was supposed to be playing sports, you know, enjoying my teenage life. But I was more worried about what people thought of me, you know, and not letting that go. So, yeah, and getting into fights all the time. So it got worse as I went through. And how do I explain this? When I first got sober, I never thought that alcohol was an issue, right?
Right.
But it always was, because I go back into my box up in the attic and go through the heart. You know, we don't have digital pictures back then, so you whip out the box of pictures that we had back then. And I remember going through those pictures, and my fiance was sitting there, was like, "You never said you had a problem with alcohol, but Jesus Christ, every picture that I see of you in your 20s and your teens, you always got a bottle in your hand."
Right.
So it was one of those things when I had realized then that even though to me it was a party, you know, I had an issue with alcohol and drugs, man. It always had a part in everything that I did, and it continued to get worse, especially when I was 16. It was really bad at that. Expelled from school. You know, I got expelled from middle school. Eventually got expelled from high school. Went to prison when I was 18. Didn't even get to graduate. I mean, it just continued to get worse.
And what did you go to prison for at 18? And this is not, I'm not doing to open up old wounds, because the glorious end of this story will be beautiful in a couple minutes when we get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Tracy reminded me before I came on the show that we got to recover. I told you, sometimes you don't recover. You know what I mean? Maybe it'll just be a non-recovered conversation.
No, we definitely we can't.
War stories, man.
I refuse to share experience without sharing hope. You know what
I know. Just messing up.
I mean, me and you could shoot the shit about the glory days, as you like to call them, forever, but that's not going to help anybody.
No, it's not. So I went to prison when I was 18 for aggravated assault, a couple criminal mischief charges for doing damage to the high school and the juvenile detention facility, and an escape charge, or an attempted escape. Sorry. They tried to do escape at first, and a riot charge. So I was sentenced to 3 years when I was 18, and went down and, you know, did a lot of the time. I've had time built up before that, but I did a lot of time when I went down. So, yeah, that's what happened when I was 18. So I went down fresh at 18 years old. I remember on my 18th birthday, I went from Warren Acres Juvenile Detention. They came up in the morning and packed my shit up. Sheriff said, "Happy birthday, you're going to the county jail on attempted escape and a riot charge." Because I decided to have a birthday party, bash, and a detention center, you know, on my 18th birthday, which, you know, didn't give me a couple more charges.
We got some comments coming in, and I just want to share with you guys. Chris Green said, "This is perfect for me. Thank you, guys. I just left the meeting and I need this." The OG Rocky Flower said, "What's up, y'all?"
What's up, Rock?
Chris Vance says, "We always, P-Burg boys will be family." I believe that's Gonzalez, okay. Jose.
Yeah.
Said, "My boy, so proud of you, Dennis." Rocky said, "At least you grew up. Congrats." Mama Deb said, "You look good, kiddo." I don't know if she's talking about me or if she's talking about you.
She's probably talking about you.
As handsome as ever. Jennifer Lynn said, "Experience, strength, and hope." Skirbo said, "What up, my brothers?" Brandon Hodges says, gives a heart. Alan Amy said, "Good evening, gentlemen." So you're 18. After that stint is done and you come home again, I'm sure that because there's always a coming home party.
Yeah.
There's always a feel good coming home party. Let's welcome Dennis back.
Yeah, I mean, that feeling when you get out, man, it's, when I look back on it today, I always tell people that feeling getting out of jail is probably better than that first time you got high. I mean, there's no feeling like that before. It's a shitty experience, but that feeling when they release you from the cage, it's hard to explain unless you've been through it. But yeah, man, I got home when I was a couple years later and came right back, started living with my mom. And, you know, I think at this point, this is when the drugs started to become, you know, a part of my life hard. Because, you know, growing up as a teenager was a party. But when I got out of prison, eventually when I got off of parole, eventually I behaved myself, got off of parole. As soon as I got off of parole, man, I started messing with everything, cocaine, ecstasy, drinking and doing that other stuff. And it became a huge party in my 20s. And that only got worse. Man. And yeah, the 20s was definitely a big party. And cocaine took a hold of me quickly. Definitely took a hold of me quickly, which progressed into pills, the Oxycontins. And after the Oxycontins, it was kind of a wrap after that. Because once I started putting them in me, I eventually go to rehab, the whole Suboxone deal. And then I ended up down here in Atlanta. I don't know if you want me to stop there and ask me questions. You want me to keep going?
You can keep going. You're doing very well, my man.
Not to mention, do you remember? I got to get this in here real quick. Do you remember when I got out down at 568 South Main Street where you DJ'd the party in the house next to the bar with the floor shaking?
I do. The whole building was shaking.
Dude, we had like 50 people in that fucking house, man. That was fucking crazy. But I mean, that's what it was to us. It was a big party, man. We would get fucked up.
There was no consequences.
No. And we would just have fun, man. And at that time, I didn't see it as an issue. And it just continued to get worse, man. I tried to hold jobs down, and I would hold jobs down. I'd work hard. And looking back at them now, a lot of the good jobs that I had, I always lost that job some reason behind drugs and alcohol. No matter what the situation was that I got fired or quit or let go, it had something to do with drugs and alcohol. So, eventually when I found the pills, like I said, it got really worse because then you need the pills the whole time.
The whole time.
You're taking opiates. And I have never liked opiates before. But,
and I'm not trying to glorify this. I was a fan of weed, but when I got introduced to opiates, it was like I fell in love, for lack of better terms.
Yeah. I mean, I smoked weed every day of my life. Loved the weed. Could never go without the weed. I had to smoke weed before work, after work. But once I found the opiates, I was a different ballgame. Those feelings would just go away. Everything was all right. I could do everything better. I could move faster. I could talk better. I could work better. I'm the best. I could do this. I'm high. I'm good. And next thing you know, it's got you. You're hooked. And, from the pills, long story short, my insurances ran out, wouldn't cover my Suboxone I was on, because Suboxone is expensive if you ain't got insurance. If everybody out there knows that. And it's worse than pills, period. So I ended up making it down. My insurance was lapsed, and they sent me to Florida to rehab at Beachway. And went to Florida for a 30-day rehab. Met a girl down there. That's my fiance now, because she's a big part of this story. And stayed in rehab for like 30 days. I got out, and my bright mind is when I got down to Florida, everybody's story down there was different than mine. They came from different places. A lot of people were from New Jersey, but a lot of their stories were, I shoot dope. I shoot dope. I shoot dope. I shoot dope. My dumbass in my head is, I've never shot dope before. What's this like? So when I got out of rehab, I decided to shoot dope in Florida. So this has been the first time that I put a needle in my arm. And I actually didn't even do it. I had another guy do it for me. Shot me in the back arm with a Dilaudid. Pushed it in. I was throwing up all over the place. High as a kite. And after that, it was over with. I put the needle in my arm. I went back to rehab down there in Florida. And I kept getting high down there. And, Tracy came up with a bright idea that she had to go back to New Jersey to see it. I said, no, you don't. She's like, yes, I do. I'm like, are you sure? She's like, yeah, I want to go. I'm like, okay. So, we drove back to New Jersey together. That was the worst mistake ever. She was back there about 6 months, and we were driving to Newark every day to cop dope. We were stealing and hustling and driving to Newark to cop dope every day from Phillipsburg. And, things got really bad up there real quick with me because I was taking shooting heroin and taking benzos. And we all know when you start mixing those two, you have blackouts. And, things happened. Police showed up. The cops, Phillipsburg cops showed up at the house, locked me up for some shit. And she took off back down here. And like a week lapsed, I got out after a day because, the Phillipsburg system is you plead guilty, they let you out right away. And she asked me to come down to Atlanta. And I was like, I've never been out in New Jersey before like that. except the Florida to rehab. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to Atlanta. So I bought a bus ticket and went to the Greyhound in Easton when it was there. And I remember my dad taking me to the bus stop, and he looked at me before I got on the bus. He said, look, son, he goes, you're going down south. You thought it was bad here. If you do the shit that you're doing down there that you do up here, they're going to drag your ass. I was like, whatever, Dad. Got on the bus, came down here. And sure enough, Atlanta, Georgia drugged my ass when I got down here. When I got down here in a 7-month span, I was locked up in every county down here and had probation everywhere. I ended up finding methamphetamines down here. I always say, being in sobriety now, heroin stole my life, but methamphetamine stole my soul, man. Dude, when I found methamphetamines and started using that, it was bad. It was real bad. Like, it just took my soul. Man, I was just doing whatever I had to do down here, getting locked up all the time and getting out and doing it again until eventually, that all came to an end on, we got locked up April 17th, 2014. It was the last time I was arrested. Me and her got caught with, dope up in Akron, Georgia. And I eventually got out. She got out before me and went to this place called The Extension down here in Marietta, Georgia. And I ended up getting out. I'll never forget getting out of Rice Street at 4:00 in the morning. Fulton County Jail. They call it Rice Street. If you don't know what it is, watch A&E, 60 Days In. They have a show in that place. I was in there a couple of times. It's the show's for real. I remember getting out there at 4:00 in the morning after doing like a 3-county trip. Because every time I got locked up down here, I would go to 3 different counties. I had probation everywhere. So I got out there at 4:00 in the morning. Nowhere to go, no money, in a state that I know nobody. Because when I got down there, I was ripping and running. Who do I know except Tracy? Everybody's back home. I got probation in 3 different counties. What do I do? Do I run and come back home? I've been locked up in Georgia. They will come find you for a suspended license warrant, and they will extradite you back to Georgia. I've been locked up with a dude that was in Alaska that got extradited from Alaska for driving while suspended that he ran from. They came and got him. I'm dead serious. They're crazy down here. And then they're going to charge you for the transportation fee when they come get you, when you get out on your fine. So, yeah, it's probably really bad. So what was I going to do? So I said to myself, if I run and go back home, I'm coming back here anyway, because they're going to find me eventually. It's just a matter of time. And so she suggested that I go to the men's extension because they have a women's and men's extension campus. First, I was reluctant to go because I've been through programs since I was like 12, and they just never worked because personally, I never worked them. I did what you call fake it to make it to get through, and it took me about 3 days to get in, and the rest is history from there. I got in the extension 2014 of October 2014. I haven't been arrested and been sober since then. Stayed there about 10 months. And so it's a facility for addicted, homeless men and women, and in Georgia, period. I got dudes come out of state and got them into extension. It's free. It's the greatest program that I've ever been in, and I've been in a lot of them. And it saved my life, man. It saved my life.
That's amazing, man. Praise God.
Yeah.
So we got the dirt out of the way. What are you up to today, Dennis?
Oh, God. My life is going a million miles per hour right now.
Your life has always gone a million miles per hour.
Well, yeah, I've been sober for 6 years, a couple months now. Tracy will be sober in 7 years in April because she started her time when she got to jail. I had other plans when I was in jail, so I didn't count that time. I was locked up. I didn't count my jail time. I was too busy in there fucking drinking hooch and shit, But I've been sober about 6 years, couple months now. It's recovery, man. Get out and get involved and network, going to meetings. Me and Tracy got an apartment together at first, right down the street from the facility that we were in, because in that facility, we're considered alumni, and we get to come back whenever we want and give back to the current residents that are in there, sponsor them, tell your stories. They do events we do events for the residents as an alumni association. It's a total give back situation. So I lived close because I didn't trust myself, you know, and lost a couple people along the way. It's been up and downs of people's lives that I've been close with because of this disease. It's been rough. Like they say when you get into the program, we're like, you better buy a suit because you're going to have to use it. I mean, and it's true to this day. It's sad, but it's part of the deal. Yeah, we got jobs, started a good career, stayed at one job for 2 years, got into the life safety fire alarm business, been in that ever since, was a field technician for a while, moved into an office position in the sales, get to wear nice clothes and a tie to work every day now instead of wearing jumpsuits. So it's kind of weird.
Your pants are up around your ass.
Yeah. Wearing the slacks every day. Yeah, we ended up buying a house about 4.5 years ago here in Marietta, which was a big accomplishment. Yeah, after buying a house, well, you know, I got to get Tracy in there because it's a huge part of the whole recovery deal. You know, it's when she first left the extension, before she got to the extension, she had a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And I think 2 days after she graduated with this criminal justice degree, she got locked up in the bluffs down here with a gun and Xanax. So it kind of derailed what she thought she was going to do with that degree. And one of her dreams was always to go to law school. And we were getting ripping and running for a couple of years. So by the time this was all said and done, I think she was out of school for about 4 years. About 6 years she was out of school with her undergrad, you know, ripping and running, getting high. And she came to me and she was like, I want to go live my dream. And I was like, what's that? She was like, I want to go to law school. I was like, okay. And she did. She went to law school and she recently graduated last May, which was hell. It was hell. It was very stressful. Hell. I got a picture on Facebook with the teachers that says I survived law school. That is not for her. That was for me. That was for me. I survived law school living with her while she was going through it because it was rough, man. And when you wake up in the middle of the night, and at the time, you know, well, I say now she's my fiance. When my fiance is in the middle of the kitchen floor, literally crying, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this. What do you say? And me, being from who I am and where I'm from, I kick in that mode of get your ass up. You can do this. Everybody's depending on you. Like the whole piece of shit thing, dude. The wrong motivation. So all she wants is my support. And I'm like, you're the answer.
All she wants is you to be there for her. And you're like, no, listen, we all fail if you don't make this happen.
Yeah. Like you are our guy. Like, because the motivation, you know, when we grew up, we got the hard motivation. Yeah. Like we had the elders that we hung out with playing sports, man, smack us in the back of the head and be like, get your ass up and do it again. I don't know
how many times I got threatened to get punched if I ain't make a jump shot.
Yeah, like I'll punch you in the face if you don't get up and run that play again. It's like, all right, dude, I better go. I'm not trying to get hit again, man. So it was kind of like that roughneck motivation to her. And I had to have a lot of talks with her to try to reel that back in just to be supportive because I kept pushing her. And I'm like, you can do this. You can do this. And it was rough. You know, she graduated last May from law school. And then she had to sit for the bar exam, which was another, you know, stressful, stress, you know, just time. Because she quit her job at one point just to do law school. And she came to me, was like, I can't do this working and going part-time at night. And I was like, all right, let's do this. You know, quit your job and get the shit over with. You know, you get it done faster. And that's what she decided to do. And it was a big risk, you know, because I'll never stop somebody from trying to live their dream. I'm so supportive of that, you know, and she got through it. She sat for the bar exam in October after it was delayed a million times because of coronavirus. And she's a first-time bar taker and a first-time passer. She passed the bar. Yeah, this year or in 2020, she got her results. So she started practicing January 1st of this year.
That's amazing, man. This is, you know, every now and then something really warms my heart because I'm still a pretty, like, I don't really put my feelings out there like that.
No, I know.
But right. But I'm so proud of you and her because I know exactly where y'all came from.
Yeah.
And it means the world to me that you're doing great and have all the success that you have, brother.
Thank you.
For real.
Yeah, I
Now,
mean, yeah.
what are you saying out there to the addict that's still sick and suffering, that doesn't know where to go or what to do or how to make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I say to people all the time, they're still out there suffering. You gotta get help. I mean, there's people out there like me, like TJ, like Tracy, like multiple people I know down here, and especially back home, man. Like, I got a soft spot in my heart for Phillipsburg, man. Like, I love where I come from, and I am fucking proud of where I come from. That's
Absolutely.
back there. I cannot find that down here. So I still have that within me. And I just feel for people back home, they don't have a place like we had down here in Georgia, like the extension, man. I wish they had one, to go to and get help. And I know they have places up there. You have to go get help. And I know it's hard. Believe me, it's hard. You're not tough. I mean, the streets are going to get you. The streets always win. No matter how hard you fight the streets, they're going to win. They're going to beat you, no matter how tough you are. You got to get help. And then it's time. Once you get help, you got to put some time in between you and the dope, man. You and the dope. It takes time for your brain to heal. I think on average, whatever drug you do, I'm not no doctor or nothing, but I've heard it takes like, 12 to 18 months for your brain to even heal after you stop using.
Yeah.
So for 18 to 12 months, you got to give it time. You're not even thinking right. You don't even know who the fuck you really are.
Right.
You had that personal experience. I didn't know who I really was until a couple years ago. And I got 6 years and a couple months sober.
Yeah. I didn't figure this out until like on who I was and what my primary purpose was and what I'm here for. I didn't really figure that out until like I was like 37.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'll be 41 on the 13th in 10 days. And literally, I think everything started clicking 3 years ago. Right? Sorry, I'm not trying to get my time. Yeah, about 3 years ago. And I was with 3 years sober, man. It's time. So anybody out there that's struggling, you got to call one of us that have been through this. Like, especially if somebody back home is listening to this that knew me when I was younger, dude, you can definitely change. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
Because I am not supposed to be here right now. I am not supposed to be doing this with TJ right now. I promise you that.
Yeah, neither am I, man. Neither am I. This is amazing. So before we get out of here on some normal, typical spitting with Spitter, one second, real fast, because I know Adam was tuning in. Dennis, you seem to be doing great, and you're an inspiration for us. It's amazing how we're doing here.
Oh, with Tara, look at her.
Yeah. It's amazing, brother. It's hard to make me speechless. And I am for a moment because of how full my heart is for you. Because it's a different level of empathy when I know you weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah, I mean, fuck. I've lost so many people to this disease, man, and it's heartbreaking. I lost one of my best friends to this disease.
Yeah.
I mean, when that happened, that hurt, man, because I thought that dude was invincible on the street.
Me too.
Like, invincible. And then when I got that phone call that he had passed, and I remember talking to him on the phone when he got out again. And I was down here and I was still in the extension. And I told this dude, I'm like, look, man, don't go do this again. The shit they have out there right now is going to kill you. And, he made that choice, man, and it didn't work out for him. And I got that phone call, man, and it fucked me up. But at the same time, I took that situation as motivation. Like, I'm here for a reason. I have to live this out, man. Because I knew at the same time, that's all that dude ever wanted from me, man. He was always proud of me. Always said, man, you're doing so well when I was doing good. And no matter what happened in between us, we would always link back up, even if it was trouble or it was just to link back up. It's just that connection, and losing him was an eye-opener in this situation. And just recently, I've seen so many people back home die from this that we've grown up with, man. And it's fucking sad when someone lose them again to this disease. And it sucks because there's a solution, man. But sometimes we don't know. Yeah, but we don't know until we give it a chance, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your experience, strength, and hope is phenomenal, my brother. And it's a pleasure to share this with you. Now, before we get out of here, do you have any questions for me?
I do, man. I do. What was the first one I was going to ask you? So, if you could have done this all over again, what would you have changed?
As far as what? Like my addiction and here I am, or?
Yeah, because there's always that one moment in your life where you always look back on and say, if you did something different, would your life be different today? Because I have that one moment. And I talk about it today. That one moment in my life that I made a mistake that I never forget. If I would have just turned my head or kept smoking a blunt in the garage, I would have never walked out into the middle of a fucking fight. Would my life be different today? Do you have one of those moments?
I do, but it's one of those, it made me who I am today.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you wouldn't change it?
No, I wouldn't change it, and I'm not necessarily glad it happened. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's like this, right? Like, everybody that knows me knows that I'm adopted, right? So as I got older in my teens, me and my father didn't have the best relationship, right? Normal teenager, my nuts drop. I think I'm invincible, and he's an old hard ass from a different generation.
Yeah.
And I hated him. He loved me. And one summer, the end of my junior year, going into my senior year, I found him dead. And I tampered with drugs and I partied and I drank and I did little shit like that. That was a different image in my head that I couldn't shake for what felt like forever. And I always knew there's so many telltale signs before that I was an addict, that I had an addictive personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from at a very young age, I'm the only child in the house and I'm hiding snacks in my bedroom. Bitch, I'm the only one eating the snacks. You know what I mean? But that was just a sign that and so that put me off to the races a little bit. But at the same time, me experiencing that much pain, there is nothing that you can put on my plate today that's going to shake me like that.
No doubt, man.
You know?
Yeah. I got another question for you.
Go ahead.
All right. So at what point, and do you think what moment, because I have a moment too, is where everything clicked for you and changed. And I get your recovery. Do you remember that moment or that time or that situation where it all clicked?
Yeah. As addicts, right, we need that hope shot that this is working. So I got in August of 2009 and I couldn't find a job. And I was blaming my felonies, my addiction, my past, whatever the case may be. I refused to take accountability for my life and just played the victim role for everything. And then a company gave me a shot and I ended up working with them for 11 years. But that moment when they gave me that shot was the win that I needed, because at that point I was going to meetings every day. I was clean for a year and a half and it just seemed like nothing was going right. You know what I mean? And that hope shot that I needed was there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, because that gives you the drive, because someone gave you that chance.
Absolutely.
And you just keep going for it. I mean, I wish there was more people in the world like that. I mean, one of my goals now is, in that type of situation is, I decided to go back to school because of all the inspiration and stress that my fiance put on me during law school. My shitty committee in my head said, you can go do this too. You're great. So I decided to go back to college at 40 years old last year. And, I started at Chattahoochee Technical College, a little college down here to get started. And just the other morning, I got an email that I got accepted into Kennesaw State University down here, which is like, I think the second biggest university in the state of Georgia, behind Georgia State, University of Georgia, and Georgia Tech. So, I'm trying to go for business because one of my goals is someday hopefully open up my own business and what I'm doing right now. And I want to be that guy that gives people like us a second chance. Because the company I work for right now, he gives us that second chance. And that's what we need. If we stay sober and put the dope down, we can do anything, man.
That's dope, man.
I mean, that's one of my goals because I got a 13-page record, and most of it's in New Jersey, some of it's down in Georgia. Tracy could clean most of them up now down in Georgia with their laws they came out with. But, there's no hope in New Jersey to always be there. But I always tell people too, man, don't let that shit hold you down.
Nah,
you got to get your foot in the door and you got to work hard. Stop sitting around crying about you can't get a job. Get a job and start working hard. Because I've been a convicted felon since 1998. And I got a good job, man. I've always had good jobs. Just give me a chance. So, I mean, that's one of my goals, man, in that situation. And, yeah, dude, it's tough. I don't recommend anyone.
Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, listen, if you're knocking at that door, kick that bitch down and make yourself known and work hard.
Of course. And you got to, because when they look at us on paper, that's what they see. They don't see us or who we are and how we work. Because we're some intelligent people, man. We just decided to use our intelligence in a different field instead of in society as an active member of society,
Yeah, we thought we were using our intelligence.
Of course. Yeah. So it's just, we were sometimes, but we always ended up getting caught. I know I did. I was a fucking horrible criminal because I was always the one that got locked up. Everybody else got away with it. I was going to jail.
I swear to God, I was a smooth operator and not even fucking close. Not even close.
Always getting locked up. Like, dude, I suck at this shit, man. I gotta get a different career.
Yeah.
So
now,
man, I'm super proud of you too, man. Picking this up and doing this, man. Like, this is amazing. I started watching you from the beginning of the different people that you have on here, all walks of life. You're just out there spreading it. And dude, that's a blessing, man. And thank you for doing this for people, bro.
I appreciate you, brother, to the utmost. Now I got one last question actually it's a couple questions, but they're gonna be some rapid fire questions at the end.
All right.
Who's in your playlist right now? We get into the music. Enough of the addiction. We've made it through. We are a blessing. What's in your playlist?
Right now, see, I don't care what anybody says. I'm on a Machine Gun Kelly kick right now, man. About that and sports talk radio. Those are the only two kicks that I'm on right now. Because I like him, man. He's doing all kinds of music right now. He's in the hip hop game, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I mean, call it what you want, man. He's killing it right now. So I've been listening to some of him. So that's what's in the playlist right now.
Not this album, but the last album, Machine Gun Kelly, really came off for me. I appreciated it.
Yeah, because it's different. He took it to, he's tearing up Eminem one year in a video, and then he's rocking out with Megan Fox in another. And it's like, dude, this dude's talented. He's all over the place with it. And I think that's cool because they're using their talents in multiple areas and making a killing doing it. So that's what I like about him, man.
Okay. Now I'm going to name two names, and you have to pick one. I'm going to give you two artist names, and you have to pick one.
All right.
Jay-Z or Nas?
Ooh, Nas.
Biggie or Tupac?
Biggie.
Method Man or Redman?
Oh, Method Man. By far. Wu-Tang forever, dog.
Junior Wu, baby.
Oh, yeah, dude. Tattoo, man. It's covered up. Don't ever forget it. Savagery, man.
Now, since you're down in Atlanta, T.I. or Ludacris?
Ooh, I'm going to have to go with T.I., man. T.I.'s a beast. Loving T.I.
Is Eminem your favorite rapper of all time?
No, he is not. Actually, Jadakiss.
Damn, okay. I'm not mad. I fucks with Jada.
Yeah, I love me some Jadakiss. Now Eminem's up there, but Jadakiss is a beast. I just think nowadays Eminem's got to put the mic down, man. Because the style of rap has changed now, man. I'm in the South now. Southern rap. I love my Northern rap, but Southern rap just got me. I like the new music now too, man. They slowed it down a lot. Eminem's still running around saying bars like,
You're real
15 bars.
singy and melodic these days with your rap, is what you're saying?
I'm getting soft in my old age, man.
That's fine. That's fine. My brother, I truly appreciate you coming on, man. Is there anything else you want to ask me before we get out of here? Because I'm gone.
No, man. I mean, I think I've asked you both of the most important questions I need to, and I want to thank you for letting me on your show again, bro. And listen, if you're watching real quick, if you want your record seal in the state of Georgia, call Tracy. She can help you, man. Stop sitting on non-report probation down here in Georgia. Get off probation, seal your record, and get a good job. That's about it. Thank you for letting me promote that on your show, brother.
Absolutely, bro. Man, I hope you and Tracy receive all the success and blessings that you deserve.
Thank you, man. If you ever want to go round 2, you just let me know, brother. I love you, man.
Of course, we're gonna do a round 2, but it's gonna be a little different. It's not gonna be on February's Mental Health and Addiction Month for me, but I'm gonna bring you on in March for a little something different.
That's cool, man. I always do the sports deal too, brother.
That's exactly what I'm gonna bring you on for.
March Madness.
March Madness. Hey, Sunday, real fast. Sunday, we got a special episode coming out. I have somebody very close to me going to be interviewing me on my path of addiction and mental health and recovery. For those that haven't already, tune in to M1L Media on YouTube. Click that like, subscribe, and share. For all your vaping needs, go to Lehigh Vape. It's on 822 Nazareth Pike. And for all your CBD needs, go to Mom and Pop CBD Shop. And with that, I'm Spittin with Spitter. That's Dennis Hoffman. And we are out of here, my brother. Much love. I appreciate you.
Deuces. Love you, man. Later.